turn the simple into magic. Turn the background to a classic. Love ain't just in February, no, no. It's late night calls when your heart feels heavy. It's slow jams playing in a parked up Chevy. A real thing, baby, we don't move petty. Love ain't just in February, yeah. Sunday sweats and your big t shirt ready. Every month you're my Valentine. Love all year, you're my favorite sign.
Hey, welcome in and welcome back to the Down South Philly Show. I'm your co-host DP. Dom will be joining us a little later, but we got some good stuff today, man. It's that time of year where it ain't much going on, but then it is at the same time because we got the combine going on. We got the draft about to kick off. Free agency right around the corner. So this is the time of season for real football fans because you got to go deeper than just the games because there are no games. So you got to stay close to your phone and see what's the breaking news, what's happening around the league, and try to craft and curate some content off of that. But with that being said, before we get into our Eagles news, as many of you have heard today, George Pickens has been franchised or will be franchise tagged by the Dallas Cowboys. When we look at what George Pickens did last year, first of all, we got to go back to the news of him, going to Dallas in the first place or getting traded to Dallas. So on the surface, we thought, does it move the needle? I think most people would agree that George Pickens was going to make a difference just because he was going to a situation where he had a Dak Prescott. He was going to a situation where he was going to be able to play across from CeeDee Lamb in an offense that has been known to produce. So on the surface, while it made sense, but by that same token, you also, as a hater in a sense, it was easy to look at the bad with George Pickens, right? So what is it? He's a crash out, gives up on routes, gives up on his team more often than not. Will it work? I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna work for him. You know, that old chestnut where it's like from the outside looking in as a hater of the of the Dallas Cowboys, you will hope it's like, it's not gonna work. He gonna crash out. They gonna explode. He gonna explode on the sideline, and it's gonna be the downfall of the Cowboys in 2025. Well, it couldn't have been further from the truth. George Pickens gets up there and lights it up, like from the first game against the Eagles. You know, he definitely was worth the trade. So he ends up with 93 catches, 1,400 yards, over 1,400 yards, averaging 15 yards per catch and 9 touchdowns. Now, those numbers by themselves, pretty impressive when you think about it. I think he was voted to the Pro Bowl this year. And one of the best years, if not the best year. Yeah, the best year of his career to date. So I think the scariest part about it is he did all of that early, and toward the back half of the season, he kind of tapered off. Um, Toward the back half of the season, you kind of started to see some of the things that would even make you consider trading a talent such as George Pickens. So I think he proved that he can be dominant in this league. He proved that he's a wide receiver one talent, but what he still has yet to prove is consistency. Now, when you look at his stats, he gave you a year's worth of work, but when it mattered down the stretch, he still disappeared in some games. Um, he definitely, was able to showcase what he had. Now, that puts the Cowboys in a predicament. What do you do when you have a player go off like George Pickens, but you already paying somebody like CD Lamb big money to be the top dog on this team? Um, Not to mention it's time to pay George, right? So what do you do? What do you do? So this was the answer for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, this isn't the end all be all because he still got to sign that. If it is true that the Cowboys are going to franchise tag him, he still has to sign that franchise tag. He still has the opportunity to do what some players have done and sit out. He can sit out. He can request a trade. He can just make it real difficult and become a distraction, because when you think back to how the Cowboys do business, they like the drama. Jerry loves drama. He loves to draw out this whole media circus to June, July, first, second, third week of August, all the way up until the ninth hour. He likes to draw out these contract disputes, and oftentimes it ends in him paying top dollar for his guys unnecessarily because he's paying them late and they're frustrated. I think it kind of bubbled over this past year when we saw the contract dispute between the Dallas Cowboys and Micah Parsons. It couldn't get no worse than that. Obviously, him being, if not the best player on the team, one of the best players on the team, certainly one of the best players on defense. Um, to lose that, and not only to lose that, but then you trade him away to the Packers, which historically is a team that's kind of had your number, especially when we talk about the playoffs. The Cowboys have had troubles beating the Packers for at least the past 10 seasons. I'm sure it's more than that because they had some trouble when it came to beating Aaron Rodgers when he played for the Packers. But then it bubbled over to, the new regime, the Matt LaFleur, the Jordan Love teams. Even this past season, they still didn't beat them. I mean, it was a hell of a game. No defense played, um, but it ended in a tie. So to trade a player or your best player to one of your rivals, one of the teams that can be considered as having your number, um, it's strange business. Let's put it that way. It was strange business. So this move makes sense. It kind of makes sense because I mean they really don't have much of a choice. The Cowboys do have a lot of money tied up in Dak Prescott. They have a lot of money tied up in CD Lamb. Um, they have a whole defense to fix this offseason. So they got to decide what they want to do with Javante Williams. He had a tremendous season this year. Actually, him I would say Javante Williams is probably a bigger story than what George Pickens turned out to be last year, because we all knew that he had that type of play in him. We just was hoping that it wouldn't manifest in Dallas. But you got to tip your hat to him. He took full advantage of his opportunity, and he turned it into a bag. I think the franchise tag, if he signs the franchise tag, let me see. Franchise tag for wide receivers. All right, so if he signs the franchise tag, he'll be due 27 million to 28 million um, for the 1 year. So that'll be a pretty nice chunk of change. Will he sign it? That still remains to be seen. I don't know if he wants to just sign something long term. The value for George Pickens right now is as high as it's ever going to be, in my opinion. He got to cash in. I don't know. I don't think Dallas can't afford to pay him an extension, but the franchise tag, obviously they willing to pay that. So, 27, 28 million, that's a nice chunk of change. But does he want that bad? Does he want that $100 million CD Lamb type money that he won't get in Dallas, if we're being honest. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out down the stretch. Obviously, we're very early in the game, um, in the off season, because we right in the middle of the combine, and we still haven't had the draft and OTAs and none of the stuff that we will find out what the next team will look like. The 25, 26 teams. We have no idea who's going to be on those teams yet. So still a lot that's going to happen between now and next month. So it'll be interesting to see. And because it's the Cowboys, we're going to get the play-by-play of how this unfolds. If it's anything said in the media, if it's anything said on social media, it's going to be all eyes on the situation. Dom, what's good with you?
What up? You can hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
We were just talking about this the news that what happened? We were talking about the news that George Pickens actually gonna be franchise tagged by the Cowboys.
Oh,
Now we
that's what I've
kind
been
of
talking
touched,
about lately.
yeah, today especially. We kind of touched on it briefly throughout the off season, at the very beginning of the off season. But how you feel about this? You think this makes sense from the Cowboy standpoint? Um, or if you want to touch on it from Georgia's standpoint, how you feel about it?
From Cowboy standpoint, and from the Cowboy standpoint, you gotta understand their business. They're gonna try
Mhm.
to save as much money as they can and get, how many of the players they can for, the lowest price, a franchise tag, or make how much of a room they can. So from their standpoint, if you can get them on the franchise tag, get them on the franchise tag. Now, from a George Pickens point of view, man, after the season you just came off of, I ain't, me personally, if I'm George Pickens, I ain't going for no franchise tag. Hey, pay me, because damn, it ain't no guarantee that everything gonna go according to plan. Yeah, I can bet on myself. I know what type of player I am. I can do exactly what I did again. But dang, what if that get hurt? What if I
Right.
get hurt? What if CD get hurt and then it affect me because I'm getting double team? You know what I'm saying? It's so much stuff that go into me having a productive season. Once again, especially if I'm trying to bank on getting paid off this. So if I'm him, I'm looking for a long-term contract, and I just gave you the season. Do y'all want me here or not? But he can also come from a point of view of, all right, it's a franchise tag, which I mean, I ain't gonna be getting paid peanuts, but and
28
I'm in
mil.
and if this is, let's say, let's say he had a conversation with Jerry, and Jerry was like, man, look, we can't pay you this season, but if you come back, do your thing, we'll be able to pay you next season. Give you, contract extension, whatever. And from George Pickens' point of view, he also might be looking at it as like, I do want to stay on the team. Me and Jerry kind of had a conversation, and we might have the potential of, you know, doing something this season. Like I seen we went and got some pieces on the defense. Offense probably gonna be looking good. It's gonna be my second year with Dak, second year with CD. You know what I'm saying? We went and got us a defensive coordinator. We got a defensive pieces. Like we probably really can do something. Do you want to stay off the basis of that and kind of see if y'all can get a Super Bowl, or see if you can still have a great season and potentially get the contract you're really looking for next year? So it's a bunch of different ways you can look at it. But me personally, I'm trying to get my bag right now. Unless he just want to stay in Dallas and he willing to take the franchise tag to stay there. Outside of that, nah, bro. Y'all can pay me or open the market. Let's see what the market talking about, because I ain't signing it. What Walker Flocka says, salute me or shoot me.
It's a lot of ways that the Cowboys can go with this, and usually if we depend on history, they pretty much always choose the worst case to fall on, whether it be waiting last minute to pay CD or waiting last minute to pay Dak and Zeke, or messing it up so bad that Micah Parsons won out. So I mean, we didn't seen them like catch several L's over the past few years in particular. And I really don't have no faith in them making the right decision with this one. Whether they go ahead and because we don't know what George's gonna do yet. Like, it's still early. We just got this news today that it might happen. So he got to, like you said, he still got to sign it. So we don't know if he gonna, drag this out, make it a drama filled off season, because that's right up the Cowboys' alley. They love to drag something like this out till August, late or early September. So from that standpoint, I get it, but also they got bigger fish to fry too. I mean, obviously you want top tier talent on your team whenever you can secure it, but also they need to worry about patching up that defense. They got holes everywhere. Now they did get a head start by doing what they did to get Quinnen Williams. They did get a piece at linebacker. They tried to shore up, at least some of the pieces in the front seven. Overshown coming back to see if he can stay healthy. The back end is a question mark because they did release Trayvon Diggs, which I don't know if that's even a loss because of how
Right.
that whole situation played out. But it still leave a hole on the back end. So I mean, they got holes all over the back end. Can they really afford to go all in on offense and potentially just be the Bengals? Where they have like a whole bunch of good players on offense and a defense that's boo-boo. So it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out this offseason. It's still pretty early, so we got to see how they attack the draft. We got to see how they attack free agency. But like I said, you can always count on the Dallas Cowboys to cowboy at the end of the day.
Facts.
But now that we took out the trash, we got to talk about so I mean, we at that part of the season where you literally start having to pull stuff from out of nowhere. So I figured we got two similar seasons in the 2023 defense of the Philadelphia Eagles versus the 2025 offense of the Philadelphia Eagles. Which one is worse? We got a it's definitely a hell of a debate.
I'm still, because we kind of talked about this before. I'm still kind of undecided. I think I did end up leaning towards that 2023 defense. And I think what just like tipped it over the edge for me was I was like more frustrated with that team. When this team right here, I wasn't as much. I think I just got over it early, like realized what it was maybe earlier or something. Like, all right, it's probably gonna be this for the. I think with the other team, I don't know. I don't know what. I don't know. Yeah, you already know I'm a defensive person on top of that, so that's probably a little bit of biasness on that. But I don't know. And then it just kept seeming like the offense was doing their thing. Hurts to drive down, put up the points he needed. The defense get right up. What the hell going on? They can't get one stop. Oh, that Seattle game. Like that Seattle game probably what really killed me. And Jigba just took my soul for the rest of the season. That was probably like the last straw for me. And then the Cardinals, oh my god! But that actually might have been the last game I watched. Was the Cardinals game. But so I'll probably end up leaning towards that 23 team just because I don't know, that defense just was so trash. They couldn't do nothing right. Like yeah. I'm
Well, let's throw some numbers out there. Most recently, the 2025 Eagles offense ranked 19th in the NFL with 22.3 points per game, 379 total points, 307 yards per game, was ranked 23rd, down the middle of the pack when it came to EPA per play, which that don't really mean nothing to me. Pass rate was 27th in the league, so bottom of the league. But Hurts threw for 3,200 plus yards, one of his better years through the air. Saquon still ran for 1,100. You had Smitty and AJ who both went over 1K. So there was some production there. I just think we were so good on offense that, and it's kind of hard not to compare them to the 24 Birds because the rosters were so similar, but they was two different teams. Obviously both teams we talking about was just coming off a Super Bowl appearance. Both teams 11-6. Both teams got put out in the wild card round. But I speak more, and I haven't even made a decision yet, but just to speak more on this past season, just because it was the most recent season. I know you mentioned that pretty early on, it became evident that this offense wasn't it. Now, we was hoping that maybe if they had a few more weeks to gel, we kind of gave them that timeline of 2, maybe even 3 games after the bye. That's pretty much what you gonna see. But we just saw early on, really, it was something just was off about the offense. And then they could just go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 possessions, punt. Offensive line couldn't block a damn thing. Also, a lot of injuries through the offensive line, whether it be Landon Dickerson or Cam Jurgens, and down the stretch, even Lane Johnson. Really, the healthiest, and it's ironic, but the healthiest lineman ended up being Tyler Steen, which is known for being injured consistently. But I think the most frustrating part of the 25 season on offense was just that it didn't really seem like it was ever adjustments, like from week to week, from quarter to quarter, from half to half. It just seemed like whatever we rolled out there with, we were gonna keep spamming it whether it worked or not. And sometimes it worked, or sometimes we got lucky and something did what it did. But we had flashes, so we'll have a flash where we have a half where we look awesome, and then the next half we don't do shit. Or we have a good drive going, and we mess around and get a penalty, and that killed the drive. And it'd be a big penalty too. It'd be like a holding or blocking the back, something, and we never really could recover from it. Ultimately, that ended up being the reason why we was an early exit in the playoffs, the reason why we couldn't win more. Because I mean, even with the schedule that we had, it was a tough schedule, but we was good enough to still win 14 games with the schedule that we had. If we would have had, proper coaching on the offensive side of the ball. Now, could it be all laid at the feet of KB? Was it a little bit of a nick in there? We talked about this over and over again. It was really a mix. It was a mix of play calling. It was a mix of sloppy execution. It was a mix of players not being on the same page, and it was just one of them seasons where I don't even remember us having a season this bad offensively. Now, I mean, being an Eagles fan, we've had some rough seasons, but speaking strictly from an offensive side of the ball, I can't remember us being like that bad every week. Now, it's been years where we haven't had that talent, but even with the lack of talent, I think we've been able to produce more than we ended up producing last year. And we could kind of blame that on a lot of things. So it looks like the Eagles starting to clean house when it comes to that side of the ball specifically. So that remains to be seen. I'm hearing talks about the Dallas Cowboys looking at Nakobe Dean. Hearing talks about they also looking at Reed Blankenship. Hearing talks about Jalen Phillips possibly. Them doing whatever they can to keep Jalen Phillips in Philly, which is a great move. Even if that means letting a Nakobe Dean or Reed Blankenship go to the enemy. Well, that's gonna be tough. I ain't gonna lie. That's gonna be
bro,
tough. That's gonna be tough, boy.
I don't give a damn what you gotta do, Howard. And we gotta start a GoFundMe for them boys.
I got 5 on it.
What we need to do, Howard? I need to pull a Mark Holmes and kill some chickens. I mean, what's up?
But nah, when it comes to that 23 defense, so obviously still coming off of a Super Bowl, right? We saw pretty early on with them that they wasn't passing the smell test. I think the first game was against the Patriots, if I'm not mistaken. And Mac Jones, the 23 defense.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that year our first game was against the Patriots, and we got carved up by Mac Jones. And that was a telltale sign. But the thing that I did like about that season, and you could pretty much say that about this past season, because like you said, Hurts put the team on his back a lot, especially in the beginning, the first half of the season, where he was able to like just overcome whatever we needed. Hurts gave us what we needed to win that game, or at least put us in a position to win that game, much like our defense this past year. Our defense, more times than not, put us in good positions to win the game. It's just that when you continue not to get anything from the other side of the ball, football is the ultimate team sport. And if you lacking on any side of the ball, you can be beat. But the 23 defense, I think I just kept being scared when I knew that the opposing offense got the ball and all they needed to do was score to win. I pretty much chalked it up. You knew we was gonna lose. Like it was nothing on that defensive side of the ball that made you have any faith in them coming up with that one stop that could shut. Now, early on we did have some things bounce our way, which you need in any good season to succeed. But shoot, our luck ran out pretty damn early. I think after we won that Bills game, I don't know if we won another game for the rest of the season. We might have won one game.
You said the Bills game in 23?
Yeah. Did we win? I don't know if I don't think we won the game after that.
Yeah, we had won the game down the stretch. I can't remember
It
what
must
game
have been
it
like the
was.
Giants or something like that.
It probably was something like that. I think it was something like that.
But at that point, the writing was on the wall. I don't know, man. This is a tough one. I know you saying that you pretty much would lean toward the 23 team over the 25 team. I think a lot of people would just have more of a recency bias just because the 25 season is still fresh. If I had to choose,
and we wasn't really like 23 season, like you said, down there. We just kept losing games, even though our offense was struggling. We were still just finding ways to win games.
yeah.
We just ended up losing that first playoff game, which probably made it look a little bit worse than it probably was. But it's 23. After that San Fran game, it pretty much was over with. And this season, it was like, even though the offense was struggling, we was pulling it out.
Yeah. I mean, and we still was winning games. Like you said, we still was able to win games down the stretch. And we was really just hoping. I think the other thing is in the 23 defense lacked the talent on top of everything else.
You already didn't have the talent. Then you didn't have the coaching.
Mm-hmm. And then when you look at the 25 team, they had all the talent. They just didn't have none of the coaching, and
players,
the injury bug killed us too.
Might as well they had the talent because nobody was playing up to their talent. Injuries was out there. People was on their last leg. The scheme ain't worth a damn. Coaching ain't worth a damn.
Yeah.
That's why I started off saying this is really a tight race. It's hard for me to decide, but I think if I had to pick, it'll be that 23.
I'm gonna have to think about it. We gotta just be back with a final verdict after a word from my sponsor. Introducing Black Diamond Concentrate from Diamond Collection, a premium mineral supplement crafted to elevate your hydration experience. Formulated with no dyes, sweeteners, or artificial flavors, Black Diamond Concentrate is 100% natural. Just 2 dropfuls added to a 16.9 ounce bottle of water can transform the way you hydrate. Order today at poweredbytmb.com and use code DSP at checkout to receive a 20% discount. That's code DSP. All right, let's get back to Welcome back to the Down South Philly Show, brought to you by Sports Lounge Media. Where my graphic at? So we done had a little bit of time to kind of mull over. And y'all feel free to drop in the comments, like, who would y'all pick? Like, what side of the ball was the worst in your eyes? Was it the 23 Eagles defense or the 25 Eagles offense?
And not only was that 2023 defense bad, they doubled down and got worse.
Matt Patricia, halfway through the season.
Which is why when people was like, man, we need to change, I was like, man, it ain't no guarantee. It ain't no guarantee. Now, I ain't saying that it wouldn't have worked, but all I'm saying is when that didn't work, they would have been saying some crazy shit about that.
I think, with all things considered, I probably had to. I'm gonna have to roll with the 25 Eagles offense, and my reason behind that is because we at least had the talent. Coaching failed us. Uh, Injuries failed us. Shoot, there's a little bit of drama in there that failed us too because we had the whole AJ thing that we went through. And shoot, still going through. That won't be resolved till we figure out what exactly what they're gonna do with AJ this offseason. So uh TBD on that. But yeah, I'm gonna have to roll with the offense. Like I said, considering the fact that we had pretty much the same roster that we had in the Super Bowl, just was really hurt and poorly coached on the offensive side of the ball. With the defense, like we said, it was also with that defense in 23, it was also a combination. It was bad coaching, it was a lack of talent. Um, and some bad luck down the stretch. You throw that in there too, because I mean, just like you need good luck for a good season, you got to have some bad luck to cap off a bad season. Because you can have some close losses and not feel no way about it. Be like, yeah, they played a good game, so I really don't have like I lost in the Super Bowl.
Right.
22. Like I walked away from that game not feeling no kind of way because it really was just a good game, close game that a call or two didn't go our way, and that was
Right.
the game. So
Yep.
yeah,
Can't even be
that's
mad at it, for real.
couldn't even be mad. Still ain't mad at it, especially since we was able to go back in and get some revenge on it in 24. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with that offense. Um Hopefully the trend continues where we go to the Super Bowl, have a season like this, and then bounce back. So maybe the 25-26 season, we'll be right back in the bowl. But I mean, it's a lot that's got to happen before that happens. Um, I know you pretty much said you gonna roll with that. I know you was kind of stalemated, but if you had to pick, you said you would have picked the defense.
Yeah, I might have rolled with the 2023 defense.
And y'all go ahead and drop in the comments what you think is worse, the 2023 Eagles defense or the 2025 Eagles offense. Like I said, we at that point of the season where you got to fish for the content, man. It ain't nothing crazy happening, so it ain't a whole lot to talk about. We do have the combine. I really don't even care to cover combine / draft talk. I think we are going to kind of cover a little bit of draft talk of some people that we might want to draft, but I like to mostly do like reaction when it comes to the draft. Like once we get a player in house, because what I don't like is to fall in love with players and they end up not becoming Eagles. So I'm not about to do that to myself year in and year out. I fall in love with 5 players, and I think the worst part about it is when your team have a chance to draft them and they still don't. So
I think the best one we had was the Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith situation.
yeah, that was icing on the cake right there.
Because we literally wanted both of them. Damn, if we could just get down Jalen. Oh, we got him.
Well,
Bro, Joe.
Though, coming off that 23 season and seeing what we needed, and then we got Q at the end of the first round, and Coop was still available.
I think I was more hyped for the Jalen Carter Nolan. I liked the cornerback joint, but I think I was more hyped for the because I didn't think we would get Jalen or Nolan. Now with the Q situation, it looked like he was just
I didn't think we was gonna get cute. I
It
thought he
didn't
was gonna be
seem
like a
as
top 10.
impossible. It didn't seem, especially as the draft went on, it didn't seem as impossible as the Jalen Carter Nolan situation. And then I wasn't even really as far as Coop, I kind of like once we had got Quillian, I wasn't even necessarily thinking about Coop because I'm already thinking in my head, we ain't about to get no another corner. So I ain't even really was paying him no attention. And then when we got him, I was like, oh, how he damn to turn over a new leaf. But yeah, so but both of them was dope. And it was like it's back to back. So
yeah, so Coop, Jalen Carter. I like the Jordan Davis pick at the time. Love when we got Smitty. Shoot, I think the worst one had to be Rager. Rager. And then, I mean, if I'm being honest, I didn't like when we got Hurts in the second round. Because at that point,
we had a quarterback.
we had a QB, or so we thought, and we was hoping that we was gonna get some top tier talent at the wide receiver position for Wentz, but it ended up working out how he knew what he was doing with that one.
Yeah, people got to understand whenever you hear Eagles fans say they didn't like the Jalen Hurts pick, you got to understand the circumstances.
Right.
At the time, we had just
it ain't had nothing to do with Hurts.
No, it didn't have nothing to do with not actually liking Hurts. We just didn't like it. Could have been any damn quarterback.
Right.
We already knew we had a quarterback. Why'd you picking a quarterback? It could have been anybody. So we looking at it from that standpoint. All right, we got Carson. Let's get some. We need some wide receivers and some more, talent in this offensive room to help them out. So when we got Hurts, we're like, bro, you just wasted a pick.
Yeah, I was pissed.
You know what I'm saying? Ain't no telling who, I can't even remember, but ain't no telling who was still all on the board right there. But yeah, so yeah, that was crazy. That Rager pick and the Arcega-Whiteside.
Damn. I forgot about J Jaw that quick. Yeah. That wasn't the same draft, was it? That might have been back to back.
I think it was 2 different seasons.
Yeah, I hope so.
It had to be because DK and whatchamacallit wasn't in the same draft.
Oh yeah, Jettas. Yeah. So we got Rager instead of Jettas, and we got J-Jaw instead of DK. Well, you can't win them all. That's back when Howie thought he was smart. He was just trying to be too smart, and instead of taking the obvious choice.
Right.
Especially with that Rager. Like I was at no point did I see him being picked that high. Like when I was going back and looking at his tape, I just couldn't get excited about it.
So at that time, I can't say I felt no type of way about it, really, because I didn't even know who Justin Jefferson was.
No, I couldn't even be. I wasn't mad about that. And I just didn't understand it.
And I definitely didn't know who Rager was. I didn't know who neither one of them was. So I'm not even I'm not even tripping on it. I was just like, well, let's see what he got. And then I seen his college tape. I was like, he got some talent. He went to a small school, so of course it's probably looked a little better than and still to this day, I think Rager had the talent, but sometimes the talent ain't enough if you can't produce that talent on the field during the game or in big situations. I think he had everything. I think he had all the tools. Huh?
I think he was kind of set up by the fact that he got taken so high. Had he been a 4th round pick, he probably would have been a dog in Philly.
Yeah, he might have been. He probably also got into his head. But what really kind of got me was, so boom. Not only did bro not pan out, it was like, usually, maybe later in your career, you're damn all right. Your first few years, especially if you're not even on the same team no more, you're not even hunted by being that 1st round pick no more. You on a new scenery. He went to other teams and still just was making bonehead mistakes or
Mm-hmm.
untimely drops and stuff like that. So I'm like, nah, I don't know what's up with bro. But if you look at his college tape, bro definitely had the talent. He had the talent. He had the tools in the toolbox. He just, I mean, he ain't the only player. You can look at a lot
Yeah.
of players. Like you can tell they got what it take, but so for whatever reason, it just don't manifest. It don't manifest at the NFL level. And I think some of it be they be in their head, it be the situation, or coaching, or whatever it may be. And it just don't pan out how it could pan out.
I think the craziest part of Rager in Philly was that it's like it never seemed like he got the full speed. Like every time he had the ball, it looked like bro was jogging.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
and all his tape showed that he had like blazing speed. He
Nah,
just
bro
never
was
was
fast.
able
He
to.
wouldn't. It looked like he would never use it.
Yeah, it's like he was stuck in neutral or something like that.
I
And
don't know what
then,
bro had going.
like you said, he just never really panned out on.
I feel the same way about JJ. I feel like it didn't seem like he had as much talent, but he seemed like he had way more talent than he. I mean, he was in plenty of opportunities where he had go ahead touchdowns and dropped them. I'm like, bro,
dropped them.
I mean, if you look at his college tape, he making all them catches. So
Mhm.
I'm like, I'm like when you start doing stuff like that, it's a mental thing. You can't. It ain't no way you was catching everything that came your way in college. Then you got to the NFL level, and now you can't catch no more. Nah, that's a mental block.
Unless
And
they
that's
ran into the Monstars.
yeah, that's a mental block. When you see players do stuff like that, it ain't even that they trash. It's just like for whatever reason they in their head and they letting the moment or the situation or the stage be too big for them, and they not producing how they would produce had they not perceived the situation the way because some players come in looking at the NFL or players around them and like they kind of like starstruck by the moment, by the people. They in their head, they want to produce, they probably scared they gonna get cut or you know what I'm saying, whatever. And they just let it be too much for them. And then you got other players that come right in and they on opposite spectrum from that. They coming in there with a mentality of I know what I'm about to do, regardless of where they got drafted at.
Yeah, you couldn't tell me after that first preseason game that J-Jaw wasn't gonna be a problem, but he got off in that preseason game and never did anything close to that
Never
ever
did
again.
it in the game. And he, like I said, the opportunities was there. We played that Detroit game, bro. Dropped the touchdown.
Game
Like,
winner.
he
Game
had a
winner.
few of them. He had the one or inside the end zone dropping the touchdown. I'm like, what the hell? And then he just never did nothing.
Never
made
panned
that
out.
shake.
And then we had some later draft picks that never really developed, like Hightower, Speedster.
I don't even know if they didn't develop or they just didn't get it. Because Hightower had got an opportunity, but I think somebody was hurt. And when they came back, we just never seen Hightower again. So I don't even know if they just never gave bro the opportunity or what. Because he was around for a while, but it's like he never really
got on the field
in no games or nothing like that. But like when you got certain people in front of you, you ain't gonna get them type of opportunities anyway. That's just like, oh boy, what's buddy name that came in? He was going off for like the stretch of games, and then
you talking about Fulgham.
Soon as Alshon came back, they just kicked my boy to the curb. I'm like, nah, bro, you can't do that. If anything, you gotta work damn Alshon back in. You can't just take that man off the field like that. And that's what I be saying. Like sometimes we looking at players a certain type of way. They just ain't even getting the opportunity. We don't know what Fulgham would have did with the rest of that season had he had a kept start. That man was hot. I'm talking about white hot.
Yeah, he was white hot. He had a stretch for the ages, but you couldn't tell me he wasn't about to be our number one wide receiver diamond in the rough type.
Man.
And never panned out. Just like my boy.
I think sometimes coaches be overthinking stuff.
They do. And sometimes they had their hands tied by by
Contracts,
ownership, yeah,
ownership.
contracts, stuff like that. That's why we like Fangio so much. He don't give a damn what you making. It's all about what you do on the field, what you doing at practice, and are you where you supposed to be when you need to be there?
Yeah.
One of them old school coaches. But yeah, that's pretty much what we had today. Little debate on which team was worse, the 2023 Eagles defense or the 2025 Eagles offense. You go ahead and drop in the comments what you think. Make sure y'all smash that like button, drop a few comments, and as always, subscribe. This is the Down South Philly Show with DP and Dom. We'll be back next Friday with a brand new show at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. So don't meet us here, beat us here. I don't even know what we're talking about next week, but I tell you what, we're going to be here talking. Y'all go ahead and hit that like button, man. Subscribe. We out. And as always, go Birds.
You know,